Well, hey there everyone. So today I'm going to be doing something that I've been waiting to do for quite a long time. Now I am going to be making armor this week out of EVA foam. So I've had this foam in my stash for months, like a long time, because I've been wanting to do this for a long time and I got really excited about it at one point, and so I bought like all the stuff and then never had time to actually make it. So I've been holding on to this stuff for quite a while. So my idea is to start kind of easy with this first foam armor project because I don't know what I'm doing. So my ideas are to do like just this one like neck piece here and then maybe a shoulder piece, and then to style it over this black dress that I have with lace sleeves. So that is my idea. So obviously it's not after like a character or anything like I usually do. I'm just kind of messing around and seeing what happens. So for the materials, again, it is EVA foam. I don't know the thickness. Maybe like that thick. It's not like the crazy thick one. It's not the crazy thin one. The in-between, I think. I know nothing. And then the next thing that I got was contact cement so I can connect all the pieces. And then I got Plasti Dip to cover the pieces, and then I got silver metallic spray paint to make it silvery. So that's the materials that I got. So I'm not going to be doing any sewing this week, just armor making, my gateway craft into cosplay. So I'm going to be doing that. Like I said, I've been waiting to do this for quite a long time. So I did like a little bit of research into what I need to be doing, but I'm still, don't hate on me because I don't know what I'm doing. So I did get 2 patterns, which I will list somewhere because I don't remember the names of the people that I bought them from. But one of them was a pattern for the neck armor piece, and then another one had a variety of 6 shoulder pieces, and I think I ended up doing the cleric design on that one. So I'll put the names somewhere or in the link or something like that, or the bio. But yeah, those were very good patterns. I did end up adjusting the neck one just to be a bit lower than the pattern had it. But other than that, everything worked out perfectly fine. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to print out the patterns, and then I will cut them out of the foam for both the neck armor piece and the shoulder piece. So I'll see you after that. Alright, now that the pieces are cut out, I have to do the angled inward and outward cuts on some of the pieces, which I just learned about. So yeah, I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife and just cut at that angle. So I'm assuming when you glue them together, it's at the right angle rather than just like a straight cut. Then it would be just right next to each other for some of the pieces. So I'm gonna go do that. now that that is all done, it is time to start gluing them together with the contact cement. So basically what you do is you put contact cement on each side of the piece that you're going to glue together. Hey cat. And then as soon as they like dry a bit, you stick them together and they're like stuck. So I am going to be wearing like a bit. What do you think you're doing? You come on in back there. Okay. So I'm going to be wearing one of those like big filtration masks while using this contact cement, because you should not be inhaling those chemicals. So I'm going to be wearing one of those. So I started off doing this inside and then like quickly moved outside, even though I opened the doors and moved all the animals into rooms so they didn't have to inhale this. So I started that inside and then just decided to move out to the work table outside to do all of this, so it was healthier for the house and the animals and whatnot. So yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is I have for the shoulder, so there's the two sides of it. So you take the triangle piece, you glue together that little dart thing that we made, and that makes it like a curve. And then you're going to take the two curved pieces that go on the edge and then glue those together, and then glue it to the side of the curve and then glue it all together, and somehow that makes a shoulder piece. I guess we'll figure out how that happens. And then for the chest piece, you glue together the front here, and I'm not going to glue together the back because it calls for a zipper. And then you put on the neck piece, and that's it for that piece. So I will see you back after that. I forgot to mention, before I start to glue the chest piece together, I'm going to try and form that before I glue it, because heat breaks or makes the contact cement uncontact cementy. So I'm just going to take the 2 pieces and put it on my dress form and then try and form it that way. And then we'll glue it together after that so that the glue doesn't break apart as much. Now that all of those are pieced together, it is time to try and smooth out those seams. So this is going to take like a whole day to dry. So I ended up I did not have any quick seal. So quick seal would have been ideal, but I didn't have any. But I do have clay foam. So what I ended up doing is searching up how to use clay foam to seal seams. And so basically what I ended up finding was they mixed it with like a bit of water to make it almost like a thick paste. So I ended up just kind of mixing water. So you put water on the part you're going to seam and then mix a little bit of water into the foam to make it a little bit of putty. And then you just spread it on and then use water to like flatten down the seams a bit. So I'm just going to do that to all of the seams. We'll see how well that works. I really wish I had quick seal, but we're working with what we got. And then when that dries, like after a day, I'm just gonna go ahead and take some, I think I had 200 grit sanding paper, and just sand that down a bit to make it less lumpy. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and show you that. Alright, so the next thing that I need to do is I need to Dremel down the edges a bit. So I do have a little Dremel with the circle like sandpaper thingy, and I'm going to smooth out the edges of all of the pieces. Yeah, so I'm just going to literally just go along the edges and smooth them out a bit. And then for the chest piece, I ended up cutting very thin strips of foam, and I'm going to use that to put along the edge of like the bottom of the neck and then the top of the neck here, just to give it some definition. And then I'm going to Dremel that down a bit too. I'm not going to use contact cement to glue those down because I really don't feel like it, so I'm just going to hot glue those down. It's not going to look the greatest, but it'll be a thing. So I'm just going to put those on and then Dremel it down to a bit more of a curve. So for the shoulder, what I ended up doing is I have a mold that I bought from Michael's, and I put some clay foam in it, and I thought that would be like a really cool like symbol to put on the shoulder. So I just kind of smushed it in there. So now what I have to do is, now that it's dry, take it out and then cut away all of the edges and such. And once I do that, I can just hot glue it onto the shoulder. So I'm gonna show you all that. Ignore the fact that there's no clay foam on the seams yet. I actually did this step before I did that. I just forgot to mention it. So yeah, I'm just dremeling down all of the edges and such, and then I cover it in the clay foam. And then after that, I go ahead and sand the pieces down with the sandpaper, and then I glue the pieces onto the chest piece, and then I go back in with the Dremel. So just ignore that that's all out of order, but here you go. So what I did here was I basically made a design by using an X-Acto knife, and I just cut into the foam, and then what you end up doing is when you add heat to it with the heat gun, it opens it up a bit and you can see the design. So this design is actually may or may not be after the armor that King Arthur wears in the BBC Merlin show. Ignore that, but that is what I'm doing here. After I added the carving, I decided that I wanted to add some bolts. So basically what you do to add those is you just hot glue googly eyes onto the piece, and then once you paint it, it looks like there's like little bolts there. Now that those are all done, it is time to finally paint. So I am going to plasti dip them first, the top and the inside, because I don't want the inside to be black. I want it to be silver, so it all looks like armor. So I'm going to plasti dip that, and then I'm going to go in with a metallic and make it look like armor. Now that those are all dry, it is time to weather them to make them look less costumey. So basically what I kind of like mess around with what I'm doing. What I end up doing is quite a bit. I ended up taking black paint and I mixed it with a little bit of water, kind of put it in the seams, let that dry for a few seconds, and then dab it off with a paper towel. That didn't work the greatest, and then I think what I finally ended up doing was taking a dry brush with just like the teeniest bit of black paint and then brushing it in all of the edges to make it look more worn, torn, and like in depth. So I didn't really put like any gashes or anything to make it look like super worn, but I just wanted to make it look more in depth and less like plasticky. So I will catch you after that. Alright, the final steps to this armor is to glue on all of like the connectors for the back of the chest piece and then the strap for the shoulder piece. The pattern closes with a zipper, but I think I'm just going to use these two little buckles that I ended up getting at Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to put those two on the back, and then that way I can just open and close them whenever I need. And then for the shoulder, I was kind of going back and forth on how I could make that stay on me. And I ended up landing on, I have an old purse strap that I had. And so I'm going to repurpose that strap and glue it on to either side of the shoulder piece so I can just like satchel it on me and it'll stay. And then I also like that piece because then it will like kind of flatten out the chest a bit so it can go over and just kind of strap it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I believe that is the final part. So I will see you in the final look. Okay, well, I thought that that was quite a bit of fun. I think this turned out surprisingly good for it being my first time making foam armor. Yeah, it when I started it, I did not think it was going to actually turn out very well. It still doesn't sit incredibly well. Oops. It still doesn't sit like incredibly well, but you know, I made armor out of foam, and I think that's pretty impressive, or pretty good for what I did. I also think it was fun to walk out in my front yard and go into the desert and get some fun deserty shots, because there aren't many that I can use the desert for, and I suppose this was an okay one to do that with, so I'm okay with that. Anyway, yeah, so I think next time I make armor, I obviously, you know, it's not the greatest of hiding seams. I really wish I had some quick seal. I just didn't have time to go get it, so I ended up using the foam clay to make like a paste out of it, and it just didn't work as well as I wanted it to. So I'm hoping next time I do this, I do have some quick seal. I mean, it looks good on the arm, on the shoulder piece, I think. It's just this flat, obvious piece here, you know, not the greatest at hiding the seam. But yeah, and I think the googly eye little bolts worked out really well. And I also really love this design that I made from Merlin. So I think that turned out really well. The aesthetic I was going for, I think, turned out good. I was kind of messing around with what I wanted to do the other day instead of this black dress, and I ended up falling back into this black dress. So it took a long journey, but I made it back to the beginning. Yeah, so I'm hoping later I can maybe add on to this or do a different piece or something. I mean, this was quite a lot of work just for 2 pieces, but I think the more I get practice with it, the better I'll get. So I had a lot of fun doing this. It was a little bit different from what I usually do, but I've had this stuff sitting in my closet for too long, probably. I bought it like months ago. Like months ago. That's what I originally bought the foam clay for, actually, was to do armor. So I've had all of this sitting in my stash for quite a bit. Anyways, yes, I know I'm a newbie at foam armor, but I'm learning. So don't judge me for all of the things I probably did wrong. So, anywho-de-doo, I hope you liked what I did. If you liked what I did, go ahead and like and subscribe. I post most Saturdays, mostly at noon, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.